Okay, well, we're at the beginning of Kartik, so very, very special time for us. And this morning, I went through all of the Shikshashtakam songs with the help of, because they're very difficult, those tunes. So I I have some recordings of the legendary Salt Lake City devotees singing those songs. So I went through with their help, and it was very, very beautiful. And I also was just listening to the talk of Srila Sridhar Maharaj about Kartik, and I was just reflecting how our conception of Krishna consciousness, it changes dramatically, from when we first start out. I was thinking, because in my own life, I think for myself, well, everyone has different types of transitions that they make in Krishna consciousness. But I was just reflecting on my own journey and how I started out as a kid in Krishna consciousness. And so what were the activities that I would participate in as a part of my devotional life, And so like Sri Lanka, many of you know Sri Lanka Didi, and she was living in England at that time, and she used to help the kids, and so she would organize plays, and I used to participate in those plays. And I have a photograph of myself as Pralam Basora, like 15 years old or something. So I was thinking how like Gurudev used to come every year on his world tour, and that was like a big deal for me, dressing up and being part of the play, and there. And I don't know so much about Gurudev, but he was like an amazing, wonderful, loving person who we'd see, So like that was my Krishna consciousness. It was very, very simple, very, just, doing plays about Krishna Lila, and meeting this wonderful person when he comes from India every year, that was it, And so I was just listening to this incredible talk of Srila Sridhar Maharaj that's on the Mott website, where he's, I mean, many of you have heard that. Of course, it's on the Mott website on the front page now. And he gives this amazing explanation of Sri Rupa Manjari Pada, where he's talking about, this intense devotion and affinity for the lotus feet of Sri Rupa, and speaking about how the lotus of my heart, first saying, all spiritual practices, they find meaning in the service of your lotus feet. Everything is within that, whatever can be achieved through meditation and worship, puja, mantra, etc., whatever can be attained by those things, they are all within your divine service, and of course, infinitely more. So everything is there. Everything finds meaning. Everything has purpose. Everything culminates there in your lotus feet. This is something beyond the conception of religion. This is the pure flow of divine love. And then also that song is speaking about the pain of separation, and saying there that the lotus of my heart blooms under the divine moon-like rays of your lotus feet, and my heart turns to ashes in separation from you. And this analogy of a serpent's poison, is given. The pain of separation is compared to the poison from a serpent's bite, and the venom of a serpent.
Okay.
And so, like, this is Krishna consciousness. This is the union and separation. And that last verse of Shikshashtakam, Ashlushiva Paradatam Pinashrimam Adarshan Marmhatam Karotu Va Yatatata Va Vidadatunam Pato Matprananatas Tusa Matprananatas Tusa Eva Naparata. That you may embrace me, you may reject me, you may be indifferent to me, but you are still everything. You are still my most worshipable, beloved master. So, what kind of sacrifice do we have to go through in order to realize such a high level of devotion? In one place, Srila Maharshi, he gives the analogy of explorers within this physical world, like Columbus and others who set forth and discovered so-called discoveries. But venturing out into people, great explorers and adventurers in the world, they venture out into the unknown at the risk of their life. But we are talking about something much more, something much higher, but it is also more subtle. So that can make it more difficult to appreciate. But in that world, in the realm of consciousness, in the realm of ego, what kind of sacrifice has to be made. So we're here in the month of Kartik, and as we know, it's a very, very sacred, very special time. Everything in connection with divinity becomes sacred, including time. So if the Lord and the Vaishnavas decide to bless a particular period of time, then that becomes auspicious, that becomes worshipable to us. That becomes like a hidden how can I say, like an access point, or like a portal. It becomes like a portal to access a higher plane of reality. There's a very beautiful verse. It's an expression of Srimati Radharani, I think. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is discussed. I believe there is an original Sanskrit verse. Maybe it's in Govinda Lilamrita, maybe it's originally also Kaviraj Goswami, I can't remember, but it is discussed in Chaitanya Charitamrita and Mahaprabhu's moments of divine madness. And in that verse, Srimati Radharani, in those verses, Radharani is expressing that when Krishna came before me, I was attacked by ecstasy. And so I was not able to properly appreciate, able to properly relish being in Krishna's company. His association became lost because I was attacked by my own ecstasy in response to his presence. So that was so overwhelming for me. I couldn't properly appreciate that moment. These are the kinds of problems that pure devotees face. The problem of too much ecstasy. So she says that that next time, if Krishna comes before me, instead of worshiping Krishna, instead of giving attention to Krishna, I will worship time. I will take flowers and incense and sandalwood pulp, and I will worship time so that time will stay for some time. So I have more of a chance to be in Krishna's company. And you know, so we also hear that everything connected with the appearance, disappearance of Vaishnavas, the appearance time of the Lord, you know, they are all sacred. They've all been blessed. You know, even it is mentioned in, I believe it's in some poetry of Raghunath Das Goswami. I can't quite remember, but it is mentioned in some poetry, and it is in an article Gurudev wrote, where he mentions, oh, actually, I think it's a, yeah, there's one about Raghunath, and then in one of Gurudev's poem, I think it's a Pranam Mantra to Bhakti Saranga Goswami Maharaj. He also mentions this point, that even the social caste of a Vaishnava becomes blessed. the particular like social world that a Vaishnava chooses to appear in, or is sent to appear in, becomes uplifted, becomes blessed by the appearance of that Vaishnava, which is an interesting point. And it's a beautiful point, because and Mahaprabhu, we all, it's mentioned, I think it's in Chaitanya Bhagavat, how, I mean, it is a known thing anyway, but before the Lord appears, he always sends many of his associates to appear before him and begin, you know, laying down the groundwork and getting things ready. And he also likes his, you know, who is in the role of his superior, you know, who he likes to treat as a superior, they will appear before him and be like his elder. So anyway, it is mentioned in, I think, Chaitanya Bhagavat, how before Mahaprabhu's appearance, many of his associates, they appeared before, and they appeared in different places, you know, in different places and different, you know, social arenas. And it's interesting, because we see how, you know, Rup, Sanatan, Haridas Thakur, you know, they were associated with the Muslim community, and so they were rejected by the Hindu society. But they were so prominent in Mahaprabhu's preaching mission, and so thereby demonstrating how, you know, Vaishnavism is supreme to everything. Anyway, I'm going off topic here, but anyway, go back to what I was talking about. Kartik, you know, this month is associated with Srimati Radharani. You know, November, December period is considered Krishna's period, as Krishna states in Bhagavad Gita, and then this month of Kartik is considered the month of Srimati Radharani. And Srila Sridhar Maharaj, he gives that explanation, you know, Kirtika is a name for Radharani's mother, and then Kartiki, you know, indicating, you know, who has come from Kirtika, you know, her daughter. So that is a name for Radharani, and it is her month. So it is a very sacred time for us, and this period it appears as the conclusion of the Chaturmasya 4-month period, and that, you know, generally we are not giving so much attention to Chaturmasya. It is more of a traditional Vedic practice, and something that especially sannyasis would observe in the Vedic culture, time of strict austerity. and we're not giving so much attention generally to the Kartik period. We follow some, in the Mat, we would follow some kind of token observance. But the month of Kartik is different because it is connected to the Nirgun plane. It has the connection of Srimati Radharani. And so it is a time that we can hope to receive her special grace. And our Gurudev, he encouraged that we would try to be more simple in our own self endeavors or in our habits, try to minimize our own personal enjoyment and to try to give more attention to our spiritual practice. In the Mat, we would, for the first 3 days, Srila Gurudev was very merciful, and he never imposed too much difficulty, too much austerity on us. So for the first 3 days in particular, there would be more simple prasadam. In the morning, we took koi. It's a type of puffed rice, but not as nice as mori. It's a little like styrofoam. Then in the lunch, we would take just a mixture, what we call dalme, a mixture of rice and dal and vegetables all in the pot together. And I think in the evening and the night it was the same. And we'd also go out on the first 3 days, we went out for Nagar Sankirtan in the local area. I think we went to the Ganga. So like that, there was more simplicity and of course singing all of the extra songs that we do at this time. So there was this intensified focus on simple living, high thinking, we can say. And there's a very nice talk of Srila Gurudev's, where he's speaking about Kartik and there was another point that he made, how Kartik, he was saying how normally our spiritual, how can you say words? Normally our spiritual development or practice, it is going in a gradual way. In the sense, what I mean to say is like when we're in the lower level, we're staying in the lower level. But he said, like in Kartik, there's this special facility because practitioners who are in the lower level, they're getting a peek into what is the mood and the heart of higher level devotees. Like in the songs that we're singing, very high mood of devotion is expressed there. Glorification of Radharani, the Shikshashtakam songs, the last few songs of the final Shikshashtakam verses, they're expressing a very high mood of devotion. This song, there's even this song of Rupa Goswami that we're singing, Hey Deva Bhavanta Mande. So we're getting a peek, we're getting a glimpse of what is their mood of devotion, which is very, very profound. And Gurudev also pointed out that we're doing so cautiously. And we're always reminding ourselves that this is not our property, because it's easy to get carried away when you're singing these beautiful songs and start to get emotional. It's easy to get carried away, but we have to remind ourselves that this is the heart of Bhakti Vinod Thakur, Rupa Goswami. This is their mood, this is their feeling, and we are just honoring that and getting some touch of their divine feeling. And he also, another thing Gurudev said in that talk was he was speaking about, because there are many things associated with this period of Kartik, and it has different names also. So it is also known as the month of Niyam Seva. And Niyam refers to regulations, rules, regulations. So indicating the time when we try to more strictly follow the regulated spiritual practice. But Gurudev, he said there, but our line is Raga Marg, it is the line of spontaneous devotion. So if we are not able to strictly follow everything, then it is excusable. Then we may be forgiven, because the mood, the heart always takes precedence. So he said, so if, we will try to follow more strictly, but if we are not able to, then it will be excusable. But then he also said, but if we are always so eager to take an excuse, then that is not good either. So of course, sincerity is always everything. And this month is also known as the month of Damodar, and it is connected to the Damodar Leela, which is a very beautiful pastime. And the song Damodarashtakam is such an incredible expression. It is really, that song Damodarashtakam, it is amazing, because that song, it's actually a very ancient composition. It was just pointed out to me not so long ago by somebody. Maybe it was the Lita Madhava, or maybe it was Sudarshan, I can't remember. But that song is actually in the Puranas, and it's composed by one Satya Rata Muni, I think is his name. So it's actually a very ancient expression. But when you read that song, it is perfectly describing what is Mahaprabhu's ideal in devotion. Maybe we can read a little bit, actually. Let's see if I can find it. I mean, when you read that song, it is just incredible. Because the pure mood of devotion that is expressed there, and also the emphasis on Srimati Radharani, it is such a pure expression of devotion. It is like this came from Mahaprabhu. So to think it's actually thousands of years old. It came long before Mahaprabhu's appearance. I don't know if I can find it. Yeah. So that Damodar Leela is so beautiful. Baby Krishna, and there are different points about this pastime which are very significant. One, of course, is the element of jnana shunya bhakti, that the supreme absolute truth. He's appearing as a naughty boy who has to be chased and captured by his mother and punished by his mother. There's that element, and she is, this is her service, to discipline the Supreme Lord. What kind of service is this? And this is an expression, not just an expression of her devotion, but it is actually a necessity for her. There's one talk of Srila Sridhar Maharaj where he says that if Krishna wasn't naughty, then Mother Jashoda might die. Like, she needs this, her mood and her necessity of heart. It needs this type of intense exchange, needs this type of challenge. And if we think in this world, how there is a particular relish that comes from having to correct someone, from a mother chastising their child, they get some joy in that. You see, or even just with friends, you see how there's this pleasure that comes from being in a position to tell the other, because you feel the other is so dependent on you that you have to take care of them, you have to correct them, you have to tell them what to do. There's a very particular type of intimacy and love in that relationship. So this is the origin of that is in the spiritual world, and it is in that relationship between Mother Jashoda and baby Krishna. So I'm just trying to find the song. So that's one significant element, the triumph of the devotee over the Supreme Lord. This is the ultimate victory. This is the ultimate, the greatest quality, the greatest, highest significance of the highest type of devotion. Shri Krishna Karshini Chasa, that it can subdue, it can subjugate the Supreme Lord himself. So this pastime is a beautiful example of that. And so in line with that, I can just mention here, I have this song here, the second verse. He is crying, seeing the whipping stick in his mother's hands. He is crying and rubbing his eyes again and again with his two lotus hands. His eyes are filled with fear, and the necklace of pearls around his neck, which is marked with 3 lines like a conch shell, is shaking because of his quick breathing due to crying. To this Supreme Lord, Sri Damodar, whose belly is bound not with ropes, but with his mother's pure love, I offer my humble obeisances. And there's also a verse, well, I'll read this next one too. By such childhood pastimes as this, he is drowning the inhabitants of Gokul in pools of ecstasy, and is revealing to those devotees who are absorbed in knowledge of his supreme majesty and opulence, that he is only conquered by devotees whose pure love is imbued with intimacy and is free from all conceptions of awe and reverence. With great love, I again offer my obeisances to Lord Damodar, hundreds and thousands of times. And there's also there's some beautiful prayers of Kunti Devi, which no doubt many of you are familiar with. And one of those prayers, she's describing this particular scene, and she's saying, she says something like, "What is this astonishing sight which has come before my eyes? That the supreme absolute truth, who fear himself is afraid of." The Supreme Lord, who fear personified is fearful of, he is fearful of his mother, he's running in fear from his mother, like what higher, sweeter conception of the absolute can you find? How can we sign up for anything else? What is sweeter than that? He's running and shaking in fear. His kajal, his makeup, the eyeliner they put on babies, is run because of his tears is streaming down his face. What is this? There's Nanda Kim Makarod Brahma Shreya Eva Mahodayam Yashoda Cha Mahabhaga Yasya Sanamhari And then the other one, Shrutam apare shmita mitare Bharatam anya bhajantu bhavavita ahamihanandam vande yasya linde param brahma. These are some verses which are related to this pastime. One is Raghupati Upajjhai, where he's saying that in this world everyone is afraid of something, and they're approaching different systems, different practices and different systems for shelter from everything that ails us, everything that troubles us in this world. Birth, death, old age, disease, etc., etc. And so these persons, they're approaching different sections of the scriptures, the Smriti section, the Shruti section, the Mahabharata, and they're following different practices to become free of their fears and troubles in this world. And then this is Raghupati Upajjhai, and then he says, but as far as I'm concerned, I take shelter of Nanda Maharaj. Because in his courtyard, in his playground, in his back garden, his backyard, that Param Brahma, that supreme absolute truth, he's playing. he's playing, Everyone is approaching the absolute, the Supreme Lord in various, indirect, abstract, remote, abstruse ways. But he's got him in the palm of his hand. These people are doing austerity. Those people are doing meditation. They're doing yoga. They're chanting all these mantras, etc., etc. But this guy, he's got that supreme truth in the palm of his hand. He's playing in his back garden. So if you're going to ask me, what is my opinion? What is my process? What is my religion? I'm going to bow down to that person. I'm going to follow that person who has that. I think he did something right. I'm worshiping Nanda Maharaj. And then in Srimad Bhagavatam, there's a question of Parikshit Maharaj. Shukadeva is narrating Bhagavatam, and then Parikshit Maharaj is hearing all this description of Vrindavan, and then he asks this, Nanda Kim Akarod Brahma. What did Nanda Maharaj do? What did he do to get this? And Mother just showed up. What about her? That supreme infinite is sucking her breast, drinking her breast milk. He's on her lap. He's carrying the shoes of his father on his head, like a helpless child. And he's sucking his mother's breast milk. What did they do? What is this? I don't know about all these other processes. I'm just going to follow them. I think they've got it right. So this is the glory, the beauty of Jnana Shunya Bhakti. So this is a beautiful element of this Damodar Leela. And I think we have some new members here who have just joined. We can just quickly tell that pastime for those who aren't familiar. Baby Krishna, he was caught by his mother stealing butter. This is one of his favorite pastimes, and he stole the butter, and then he's sharing it with the monkeys. And then his mother catches him, and he's running after in fear from her. She's running after him with a stick, and finally she catches him. And she takes some rope to tie him up. But mysteriously, the rope is always 2 fingers too short. And then, so this is the second point that I wanted to mention about this pastime. which is particularly significant. So she's trying to tie him up, but the rope is too short. She takes more rope and adds it on. Again, mysteriously, it is 2 fingers too short. And so this is going on, and she's becoming exhausted. And this is her service. She's not doing this for her own pleasure, but she's feeling this is my duty to discipline my child. It's time out for him. And so she keeps pulling more and more rope, but it's always too short, 2 fingers too short, and her hair is coming undone, and her makeup is smearing, and she's sweating, and she's just becoming completely exhausted. And then finally, when she is at her last tether, then she's able to tie him up. And so it is mentioned, there's a commentary on this Leela by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, and he explains that those two, because it is mentioned 2 fingers, it's always 2 fingers. So he explains that 1 finger is that how is it that she was able to finally close those 2 fingers? So he explains that, what did that space represent? 1 space represented her own effort, her own endeavor, her own, energy and sacrifice. And then the other finger represents Krishna's mercy, Krishna's grace. And so this is very significant, this represents what devotional life is really about. We are trying to give everything, but ultimately, whether or not we receive anything, it depends on Krishna's mercy. It depends on His grace. These are the 2 magic ingredients. Actually, we're not able to do anything in spiritual life. We're not able to chant. We're not able to serve. We're not able to worship. All we're really trying to do is show our desire. We can't chant. We can't chant. We chant our japa every day, but we can't actually touch upon the real name. We're not able to, because our tongue is mundane. Our consciousness is mundane. So we can't actually chant. But why are we chanting? To show our desire, to show, it's all about effort here. It's not about the grades that you get in your subjects or how well you perform in exams and homework. It's all about the effort. We want full marks for effort, and how well we do in the actual exams, it's not so important. Of course, there's some importance there, but that's really an indicator of how much we're trying more than anything else. It's not about performance. So, these are the 2 magic ingredients of a successful spiritual life. That we are sincerely trying, and that the Lord and the Vaishnavas, they will give their mercy finally. And, sometimes we have to be like the chatak bird. Sometimes we will feel that we are trying, but we're not getting that mercy. And in those moments, we have to remember the chatak bird, that no matter what, is never deviating from its principle. If whether that mercy comes or not, we still have nothing else to do but to hold on to that aspiration, that hope that it must come at one time or another. But we cannot go anywhere else. We cannot do anything else, and we cannot be moved in our hope for this line, for this path, for this conception, ideal of life. Maybe I'll just read one or two more verses from here. So this is Damodarashtakam. And Gurudev, very much appreciated this, and we have some recordings of him singing it, and he likes that it would be sung every day during the month of Kartik. O Lord, although you are able to give all kinds of benedictions, I do not pray to you for the boon of impersonal liberation, nor the highest liberation of eternal life in Vaikuntha, nor any other boon which may be obtained by executing the 9 processes of Bhakti. O Lord, I simply wish that this form of yours as Bala Gopal in Vrindavan may ever be manifest in my heart. For what is the use to me of any other boon besides this? O Lord, your lotus face, which is encircled by locks of soft black hair tinged with red, is kissed again and again by Mother Yashoda, and your lips are reddish like the bimba fruit. May this beautiful vision of your lotus face be ever manifest in my heart. Thousands and thousands of other benedictions are of no use to me. O Supreme Godhead, I offer my obeisances unto you, O Damodar, O Ananta, O Vishnu, O Master, O Lord, be pleased upon me by showering your glance of mercy upon me. Deliver this poor ignorant fool who is immersed in an ocean of worldly sorrows and become visible to my eyes. O Lord Damodar, just as the 2 sons of Kuvera were delivered from the curse of Narad and made into great devotees by you in your form as a baby tied with rope to a wooden grinding mortar, in the same way, please give me your prema bhakti. I only long for this and have no desire for any kind of liberation. O Lord Damodar, I first of all offer my obeisances to the brilliantly effulgent rope which binds your belly. And of course, it mentions earlier, that rope is not rope, it is actually the love of his devotee. This is the only thing which can tie, which can bind the Lord. I first of all offer my obeisances to the brilliantly effulgent rope which binds your belly. I then offer my obeisances to your belly, which is the abode of the entire universe. I humbly bow down to your most beloved Srimati Radharani, and I offer all obeisances to you, the Supreme Lord, who displays unlimited pastimes. Such a beautiful expression of pure devotion. It's a very special time. We have last week also was the disappearance day of Raghunath Das Goswami, Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami. Then on Thursday is the disappearance day of Narottam Thakur, also very important to Charja in our line, who wrote Sri Rupa Manjari Pada, which we were mentioned earlier. So very, very sacred, special time that is full of blessings for our spiritual growth if we will take advantage of that. Well, I think that's all that comes to mind right now. We have also Devi Dasi has joined us from Tijuana, Sandvat. And we have Seamus and Vijay. Dandavad Devi. And also Seamus and Vijay are tuning in from Ireland. It's great to have you with us.
Jai Hare Krishna, Jai Hare Krishna. Jai Hare.
And Karan has joined us in Calcutta. It's actually midnight in India, so we're really honored that you're sacrificing yourself to take part in our meeting. And we also have Ariam, who I think is a friend of Chintamani. Welcome, Ariam. Where are you calling from?
Hi everyone, I'm calling from Eritrea. It's in Africa. It's 10 p.m. here.
Okay, you're calling from Africa. Wow, which part of Africa?
In Eastern Africa. It's in the Horn of Africa, right next to Ethiopia.
Oh, wow, amazing. Wow, and how, what is your environment like? Are you in a city? Are you out in the country or?
Well, I live in the capital city and we got internet and we don't really have internet connection here, but I got internet connection because my parents work for the United Nations.
I
So
see.
I'm actually glad to join this group and I'm just interested in learning.
Okay. Wow. And how did you connect with Chintamani?
Well, it was through Instagram actually.
Oh,
I was
really?
looking for anything that could, yeah. I was looking for anything that could just guide me throughout this, whole spiritual path. And I found her on Instagram, and that's how we connected.
Okay. Wow. Well, that's amazing. That's amazing. Well, we're really happy to have you with us. And
Thank you. I mean, I'm not really like into any religions right now, but
yeah.
I'm just interested in anything that could just, you know, uh, just sort of pave the way into the spiritual path and just kind of clarify any confusion that I might have.
Okay. Okay. Well, that's wonderful. Well, that's great to hear you've connected with Chintamani. She can answer your questions, and we're always here, also happy to speak. So
Okay.
yeah, you'll be at your ease. Um, we're pretty easygoing.
Thank you.
We also have a Sumuki Devi Dasi here. I don't think I know Sumuki.
That's a new name. Her name was Alicia before. She came before as Alicia. I believe she came, right?
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah.
Okay.
So she's
Cool.
recently gotten connection with Srila Bhakti Ashaya Keshav Maharaj. So she has a new name.
Hey, wow. Well, congratulations and
Well,
welcome. Welcome to our family.
thank you. Thank you. I'm
And
doing all kinds of things here in my house. I'm cleaning and I'm listening. So I'm just
okay.
happy to
And
be here.
where are you calling from?
Well, I am located currently in Southwest Florida. I used to be in Arkansas for 20 years, and that's where I met Chantamani about, I don't know, maybe 15 years ago or something like that.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Okay, cool, cool. Wonderful. Well, welcome.
Thank you.
Well,
Happy
we
to
have
be here.
we have a great international gathering here. It's very, very exciting. Yes, Divya Shakti Didi.
Hi, Dandavat Didi. I wanted to know, could you say something about Sri Satyavrat Muni, the person who wrote the Damodar Astakam? Do you know?
Oh, actually, I don't know anything about him. I just know he's an ancient Muni, and that prayer is somewhere in the Puranas. Does anyone else here know something?
I was just coming up with maybe a possible theory is that it's in the Padma Purana. At least that's what it says in a couple of the songbooks in the Padma Purana.
Okay.
So maybe it's some Leela where some Muni is speaking within the Padma Purana, because he's not the author, right? It's Vyasadeva or something, I think. So maybe he's a Muni in the Padma Purana that is speaking this in that moment. Be interesting to find. I don't even have any access to the Padma Purana.
Yeah, I've never heard anything else either.
I mean, we sing this song in all of our temples, and
yeah, Okay, well, I have a message here, a private message from one of our new persons joining, and what the purpose of this group is. Okay, so I guess there's no context here for this person. Well, I'm not sure how much our friend knows, but we're an international spiritual mission, and I think because we have communities around the world, and normally we're meeting in our temples or in our centers, and we have talks, we have chanting. Since this whole COVID situation started out, then a lot of things have shifted online. So we have a lot of meetings that are taking place online throughout the week. Chinmoy Prabhu, our friend here, is organizing that. And so the purpose is for our nourishment, for spiritual nourishment. And usually in this meeting, I'm trying to answer questions. Normally we have a list of questions about different aspects of our faith, of our practice, our teachings, and so I'm normally addressing those questions. Today, I was inspired to speak something about what is called Kartik. It is a particular period of this month. What we're in now, it is considered to be a sacred month. So I was feeling inspired to speak about the significance of that. But it's an open, relaxed environment, just a space for our friends, our members, new persons, seekers, just to voice their questions, doubts, feelings, and we're discussing that on the basis of what we've heard, the teachings we've received from our gurus, from our teachers, and from the scriptures. And what is our faith? Maybe that's not clear either. We can give a brief summary of that. Our teachings, they originate in the ancient scriptures of India, known as the Vedas, and there are different schools of thought which are presented in those scriptures, and our line is particularly in the line of devotion, or Bhakti, the Sanskrit is. So, in a nutshell, we can say our ideal, the focus of our practice is to cultivate a relationship of love with God, and we know God to appear in many different forms, with many different names, and they all have their genuine authenticity in place, but we recognize the highest expression, highest form of God to be that as Krishna. And Krishna is a beautiful and charming and loving form that God takes in order to have relationships of love and intimacy with his dear friends and devotees. In this era that we're in now, the practice of kirtan, we can also mention, that is given a lot of emphasis. Kirtan means chanting, if you're not familiar with that. So to call upon God through his holy names, this is our primary practice, means of connecting with him and reawakening the spirit of divine love within our hearts. And it's an interesting thing that this practice of chanting, it is something that we find in all religions, actually. You see that in Christian faiths, you see that in Islamic faiths, Buddhism. So it's something very pervasive to connect with divinity through the medium of sound. But in Vaishnavism, in our line of practice, this is something that is discussed much more extensively and is given much more emphasis to. Yeah, I mean, I think that's a nutshell introduction to who we are, and I'm happy to answer any more specific questions. And this meeting is every Monday, and we have other speakers throughout the week who are also holding discussions. Yeah, so that's a nutshell. I just remembered actually, Divya Shakti, she called me last week and she asked if I would speak about seva aparad, offenses that we make in service. Maybe we'll save that for next week though. Yeah. Well, does anyone have any closing thoughts or final questions, or should we stop there for today?
I would like to share something, if possible.
Of course.
Who's this?
Is that
This-
Sumuki?
Yes, this is Sumuki.
Okay.
So I am 54 years old, and I have gone through many, many, many experiences in my life. And I grew up Catholic. I see the value in some of the teachings. I was never a big practitioner, but I do believe that Jesus Christ walked on this earth, and there's a lot of symbolisms. Okay, so then I have been a student, and I continue to be a student, and I have gone through lots of hell things, and Chantamini knows a little bit about that story with my ex-husband. And so I have gone through the path of discovering my own power, discovering all of those things that we are made in the same image of God. And so discovering that inside of me has been a nice journey. And then it's all been, practice and practice and practice that makes perfection, right? But at the end, it's always been, how do I feel whenever I'm doing whatever it is that I'm doing? Okay. So one thing that I have found in this group with Chintamani is I feel really good. So I resonate, I am in harmony with what's being spoken. And so for anybody that is like new, you just gotta feel how you feel and observe if there's something true to you in that you're listening, and that you're hearing, and that you're experiencing, and then you make your own decision. At the end of the day, God is also merciful that he will guide you to wherever it is that you need to be. But you just have to let it be, in my opinion. This is all my experience. And so I'm here now with a wonderful group. I resonate beautifully with it. I feel good. And at the end of the day, I think that's all it matters. And yes, there are some things that I do not know that I'm about to learn, and I will navigate through those experiences and learnings with an open mind, but most importantly, an open heart, and just feel that there's a lot of truth in what I've been hearing. And when I don't understand something, I don't invalidate it. I just kind of go and sit with that and try to understand what is being said. and just or ask questions. And so I feel blessed to be where I am today, having gone through so much in my life. And at the end of the day, it's just love, it's devotion to that is love, and God is love. And it is said in the Bible, in the Christian Bible, and it is said here too. And the Vedas, which I know very little about, and I'm excited about knowing more. I know they are way more ancient than any Christian book, or any, for that matter, any religion that I know. So that's another thing that is exciting. So I'm getting to the most ancient knowledge there is, through the path of Bhakti, and which is the path of love. So there's my 2 cents, and I thank you for letting me express it and share it.
Thank you for sharing, Sumuki. That was beautiful. We're privileged to hear something of your journey and your current inspiration. And we also have to express special appreciation to Chintamani, who really goes out of her way to inspire persons and support them in their connection with Krishna consciousness. So
She is an amazing soul.
she is. Okay, well, any closing comments, Chinmoy Prabhu?
No, Didi, very wonderful to have you here with us. Thank you.
Thank you for organizing, facilitating this. My Dandavats, love and affection, and praying also for everyone's blessings for me, upon me. Wishing you all a nourishing week ahead, spiritually nourishing. And hopefully we can keep meeting every Monday.
Jai.
Jai, everybody.
Jai Shri Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami.
Jai Hare Krishna.
Jai.
Jai,
Thank you.
Vishakha Devi Dasi ki jai.
Jai.
Thank you, Aryam, for joining us today.
Jai,
Okay, thank you for having me.
Jai, Jai, Bhakti Didi.